church folks need to know that people with mental health issues are sitting right next to them in the pew?
People need education. For instance, people need to know that you're not going to make suicide more likely by talking about it. In fact, it's the opposite.
The one component that is really not really spoken about in terms of mental health in many contexts, and that is spirituality and faith. So I really would hope that we can combine and join and bring forth, from our perspective, the United Church of Christ, our faith perspective in terms of how in one's recovery, that can be a very important ingredient for one's well-being and in one's recovery.
As an individual, I live with bipolar disorder. I also am in recovery from addiction. And I know that in my own faith journey, my own spirituality has meant so much to me in terms of helping me get through those difficult times. And I know a lot of people struggle with that.
I was called to be the clinical chaplain at a state hospital, and I recognized how unprepared congregations are to work with and include people with major mental health issues.
I think that as the United Church of Christ, embracing the mental health ministry, part of the identity as a denomination we really try to live into, and we have so far to go, is being a multicultural, multiracial church. And we're very aware that the needs of people for mental health reach across all borders and all boundaries. The intersectionality of race, of gender identity, of sexual orientation, of class, of education. And so we are seeking partners, in all areas to really be a resource for the whole church of Jesus Christ, not just who we are today, but who we are becoming.
Why I'm so passionate about the work and while I feel so connected to the population is that I see my face in the faces of the people that I'm working with.
That it is not a moral issue. Mental illness is an illness much as anything else is. I think it is important to remember that churches and their ministers can do harm as well as good. And I think we have a responsibility to ensure that what we do as church is positive and supportive and educated.
It's okay to talk about it. We need to get that conversation going. I think the silence that not only in the church but in wider society is what really keeps people from getting help.
It's something that can be treated. People can live healthy and whole lives even with a major mental illness.
The Mental Health Network, since I've been on it for a few years, has given me the background and knowledge and confidence and networking to start a mental health ministry at my own church. I would never have done that, never, had I not had the experience in the Mental Health Network. It's been invaluable to me.
One thing I'm really proud of that the Mental Health Network has done are the Widening the Welcome conferences that have happened in conjunction with the disabilities ministries of the UCC.
We are so grateful for the support and witness of the United Church of Christ. We have the privilege and honor of gathering every 2 years as a full body in our General Synod. And at the General Synod in 2015, we voted, it was a very powerful and profound moment for a lot of us together, that we wanted to raise mental health, welcome, inclusion, support, and encouragement as a key part of our identity as the UCC.
The WISE covenant is something that can really make a big difference in our denomination.
I think that our sharing of information, sharing of stories is important. I think there are many things to be proud of.
So I love for churches to say, okay, what we really want to see is for you to become involved and included in the life and leadership of the congregation.
Healing involves connection. So that's, and particularly within the Christian faith, this is serving God, this is serving Christ.
this becomes not just a technical problem, but a personal and communal one. And especially, I think, for those of us who are serving churches, because of the stigma around it, it becomes very difficult to own that problem and to ask for help with it. And I long for the day when that will change, when, you know, people will bring me a casserole because of my loved one. And that's what I'm doing it for.
Within our churches, there are many people who either experience problems themselves or in their families who need the kind of spiritual support and guidance that our churches can provide.
Offer a support group. Very simply, you know, a support group, I've had experience with support groups, and you know, they call them mutual support groups. So it's the idea of people coming together, sharing their common experience. Church needs to be a place where someone can stand up and say, I'm celebrating 7 months of sobriety today.
Someone could potentially stand up and say, I've only heard voices twice today, and I'm grateful. Please continue to hold me in prayer. And nobody is shocked by that, and people genuinely begin to hold those folks in prayer.
For churches that are considering becoming a WISE congregation, I invite you to pray. In whatever ways that you find yourself in prayer, to pray and ask God, you know, what is the Holy Spirit calling us to do and to be? Because if you are grounded in prayer, then whatever it is God's calling you to do, you will be tapped into the source that will encourage you, inspire you, and guide you through the power of prayer.